This is the second video in the review of a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport II rifle. In the first video, we went through the details about the rifle and why it is such an exceptional rifle for the cost. However, today we're going to be asking or answering one of the biggest questions that people commonly ask about this platform, which is what is the best ammo to shoot out of this, and can it shoot heavier grain bullets accurately? The reason why this question comes up is because of the barrel. As we discussed in the first video, this barrel is a 1 in 9 twist barrel that Smith & Wesson issues to this rifle. Conventional wisdom is that the shorter the twist of the barrel, the better it can stabilize a heavier bullet, and vice versa. Therefore, the 1 in 9 twist is suspected to have a more accurate profile with lighter bullets than they do with heavier bullets. However, the military uses a 1 in 7 twist, and they do this largely because they shoot a tracer round out of their rifles that they need to stabilize. But the question is, can a 1 in 9 twist shoot the heavier grain bullets and do it accurately through this platform? And that's what we're going to cover today. So to begin with, what I mounted for the testing was a 3x9x40 Nikon P223 optic on a quick release Wilson combat mount. The reason why I use this optic is because this is what most people are going to use on a platform like this. Most people aren't going to double the amount of money they spent on the rifle by getting a very high-end optic. And even though we could have shot an optic that would have produced better, tighter groups based upon the optic itself, I wanted to keep this simple. I wanted to use what most people are going to be using on this platform today. Most people are going to be either using the iron sights that come with the rifle, they're going to be using a red dot, or they're going to be using probably a 3x9x40 optic like you see here today. So that's what we use for the testing. So the first group that we shot was the 55 grain group. So I shot 5 very common rounds that you would see in the 55 grain load. So these would typically be what you most commonly find the cheapest price within the stores. The cheapest of which I always find is the Toll Ammo 55 grain steel case. So no surprise here, this shot a group of at 100 yards of about 2.5 inches. So again, I wasn't expecting anything better out of that load. The second load is the American Eagle XM193, which you can see here. And this, again, I shot a group that didn't perform much, if at all, any better than the Toll Ammunition at about 2 3/4 inch. Moving on, I had the PMC Bronze, again, another popular caliber you would see, or another popular brand. And this group actually grouped pretty well for about 1 3/4 inches. Again, better than the Toll, better than the American Eagle. Performed very well for a 55 grain bullet. And then the third test I had was the Norma USA, and this is a match grade ammunition, 55 grain, 223 round. That shot, again, very similar to the PMC Bronze at about 1 3/4 inch. But the best performing group that we had of the day was the Hornady Tap. And this is a 55 grain bullet out of Hornady, very high-end ammunition that you can get. And in this case, I shot about a 1.5 inch group out of the Tap load through the Sport II rifle. Now, what I did with my top performers in both of these groups is I actually shot subsequent groups off paper, off these targets, to see if I could tighten these groups up. And the Hornady Tap, I actually was able to get pretty close to a 1 MOA, or 1 inch at 100 yards, which again was exceptional and was by far the best performing group out of the 55 grain variety. It's also important to note that a lot of the 55 grain ammunition out there, with the exception of the Norma and the Hornady, are typically low to medium grade ammunition. So again, even though we talk a lot about the twist of the barrel and how it'll perform, another big piece of that puzzle is the quality of the ammunition you're actually firing out of them. And as you can see here, typically the better the ammunition, especially when you move into the match grade quality, the groups definitely tighten up. But the PMC Bronze tended to fire the best out of this for the standard bulk grade type ammunition. Now, the second group of ammunition that we fired were the heavier grain bullets, and these are the ones that a lot of people would argue will typically not perform as well out of a 1 in 9 twist barrel as opposed to the 55 grain bullets. But what I actually found was the opposite, and here's the results that we have. So to start with the bad, the worst groupings we had were the American Eagle XM855. This is a 62 grain green tip bullet that you will commonly see in bulk in the stores. If you have a Sport II rifle, I would not recommend firing this ammunition for accuracy. If it's tactical shooting at close range, any one of these rounds will work. Any one of them will work. But the green tip I would not rely on for mid to long range shooting. I had one that literally flew off the target, and I've seen this in multiple M&P Sport IIs that I've fired, that the XM 855 is just an inaccurate round for this rifle platform. Moving on, we have the Hornady Match, and this is a 75 grain boat tail hollow point. Again, premium round that's out there, and it's shot about a 2-inch group through this rifle. So again, not bad, but certainly not great for the amount of cost you put into these loads that we're firing. Then at the bottom right, we have the Fusion MSR. This is right here. This is a 62 grain bullet, which again is a little bit on the lower light range or weight range. And again, we fired about a 2.5-inch group through this round. Now, the best performing rounds that we have are both here and here. And ironically, these are the heaviest loads that I fired for the day, with the exception of the Hornady Match. And both of these were from the Federal Premium Gold Medal Match King boat tail hollow points. This is what they look like right here. Now, the best thing about this was, you would think conventional wisdom on a 1-in-9 twist would tell you that the heaviest load that you would typically shoot out of a 223 is a 77 grain bullet would perform the worst. Well, it actually performed the best in my rifle. In this case, it shot near a 1 MOA, stock platform rifle with a 3x9x40 scope. So this was a 77 grain bullet from Federal Premium. Now, Federal Premium also makes a 69 grain bullet. Now, the first group I shot here was a 1.5-inch group. However, what I did is I shot off target groups outside of this on both the 77 as well as the 69 grain. And what I found with the two subsequent groups that I fired out of this rifle, that the 69 grain shot 1 MOA or less. In both of those groups I shot after this target. In other words, the two best performing loads that we had were the Federal Premium Gold Medal Match King boat tail hollow points, both the 77 and 69 grain, with the 69 grain just marginally beating it out in accuracy. So there you have it. So when you look at the best performing rounds, on the lighter scale, what I found was that the Hornady Tap 55 grain, again, expensive round, will shoot the best groupings out of the 55, I'm sorry, out of the Sport II rifle. The heavier grain Federal Premium 79 or 77 and 69 grain bullets were the best performing rounds out of this rifle. In essence, both these Federal rounds that were the heavier rounds that you would think might perform worse than the 55 grains actually performed the best. In many cases, when I shot subsequent groups, they shot around a 1 MOA. And that's out of a stock Sport II rifle with a 3x9x40 scope, no trigger jobs, no changes to the barrel, nothing. So the fact that these two loads shot so well out of this rifle, both a 69 and 77 grain match grade bullets, dispels the myth of whether or not the Smith & Wesson M&P Sport II with a 1-in-9 twist barrel is any more accurate with the 55 grain than it is with the heavier grain bullets. In this case, this rifle performs best with the heavier grain bullets. Now, the final thing I would add to this is it depends on what you're using your ammunition for. If you're doing short range, tactical, home defense, or any types of tactical shooting, any one of these loads will work. They and the rifle will be more accurate than you are. Therefore, when you do short range, tactical, plinking, what have you, the cheaper 55 grain loads like the Toll and the PMC are really the best way to go, because it's the cheapest round you're going to shoot relative to how accurate you're going to be. However, where this becomes important is in the medium to long range, where if you use this rifle in 200 plus yards, what are the most accurate loads that you're going to find out of this? And what I found through my own experience is that the Federal Premium 69 and 77 grain, the heavier grain bullets that a lot of people would argue in a 1-in-9 twist barrel would perform the worst, actually perform the best. So if you want to buy this rifle and you want to shoot these heavier loads out of it, first off, I would suggest that you try them out in your own rifle, but my own experience tells me that if I'm shooting medium to long range accurate shooting, I will be shooting the Federal Premium 69 and 77 grains, and I will be shooting them more accurately than any other load that I have on the table here today. Hope this helped. And if you have a question or you want to watch the first video about our detailed overview about the Smith & Wesson M&P Sport II, please watch the first video, like our channel on YouTube, and thanks for watching.